Hey guys, it's Izzy here, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a collective haul. Some of these books I got in October, but I think the majority were in November. But I have since gone on a book buying ban. I say ban in quotes because I don't officially ban myself. I basically have not been buying books online, only buy them if I see them in person. I want to save up for the holidays. I don't know what other people might get me, so I don't want to buy something that somebody is already getting me. But let's get into this video. Big book of the month bag here, so let's see what books I'm going to show y'all. So first, I guess I will start with this one, which is Living Pictures by Paulina Barskova, translated by Catherine Sepla. So this is from the New York Review Books collection. I read a book from them back, I don't know what month it was, but recently, and I really liked their edition, so I went on their website to see what other books they have, and basically if I've been finding them for over half off, I buy them. This one I don't think was secondhand, I just got it on Amazon. This is obviously a Russian story here. It is Living Pictures refers to the parlor games of taboo events in which people dress up in a costume to bring scenes from history back to life. It's a game about survival and what it means to be a survivor is the question that Paulina Barskova explores in the scintillating literary... See, this is something I hate. In book descriptions, they use these really big words, and you read the actual book and there's like no words like that in the book, and I'm like, why do you need to sound pretentious? So we have that one. Then we have a classic that I literally got for $1 on Amazon, and that is The Great Gatsby. This is the original 1925 edition, and obviously this is by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I did read this book when I was a junior or senior in high school. American literature, I don't know what grade I was in, but I did read this. I read the ebook back then, and I've never read it physically, and I just want to reread it as an adult. The movie is one of my top 3, maybe top 5, I would have to think, favorite movies of all time. The one with Leo, because you all know I think he's the best actor. I really want to read this sometime soon. Look at this hardback that I got for over 50% off. It's new, it's not even used. I found out about this book, The Lost Empress by Sergio de la Pava. I found this through a book olive, so I will leave a link to her channel down below, and it just sounds right up my alley. Paterson, New Jersey to Rikers Island to the streets of New York City, Sergio de la Pava's Lost Empress introduces readers to a cast of characters unlike any other in modern fiction. Dreamers and exiles, immigrants and night shift workers, a lonely pastor, and others on the fringes of society, each with their own impact on the fragile universe they navigate. Okay, that sounds right in my alley. Y'all know I love character-driven books and just how we all, the smallest things, cause these big impacts in the universe. Nina Gill, daughter of the aging owner of the Dallas Cowboys, was instrumental in building her father's dynasty. So it's a shock when her brother inherits the franchise and she is left with the Paterson Pork, New Jersey's failing indoor football team. Nina vows to take on the NFL and make the Paterson Pork Pigskins kings of America. All she needs to do is recruit the coach, the players, and the fans. So obviously I love sports, so that I really was fascinated by that. The Cowboys, America's team, you know? On my journey across America, reading 1,000 books. I'm not going to be reading 1,000 books, but there's a list of 1,000 books that make this country, and one of them was Raising Wrecker by Summer Wood. This takes us to San Francisco in Northern California. Short little description here. Wrecker was born in 1965 in flower-powered San Francisco. But by his 3rd birthday, his mother has landed in prison, and he's been taken by the state. Up among the California redwoods, a clan of eccentrics will come together to raise one remarkable child and feel themselves transformed. Charting 2 decades of an unconventional family, Raising Wrecker celebrates the highs and lows, joys and pains of real enraged love. Assuming his mom is a part of the flower power movement, I always think it's really fascinating. I watch a lot of videos that are like at the Monterey Music Festival, Woodstock, you know, all the big festivals, and oftentimes you see babies, toddlers, and I'm always like, what happened to them? They were being raised by the hippies and all of that. how did those kids end up? And I think this might have some of those elements, and I did get this one secondhand. Next, we have a big boy that I got secondhand because I saw this book at Barnes & Noble last month, I think, maybe the month before, and I didn't want to spend, how much money? 40 bucks. Did not want to spend that. So I got it for like 15 bucks on eBay. And that is The Last King of America, The Misunderstood Reign of George III by Andrew Roberts. George III is such an interesting figure, mentally ill. I don't remember if he had physical disabilities as well. He was the one we rebelled from and had a whole revolution, and was the ruler who lost the American colonies. That should be super interesting to see about his life, because I don't really know much. I just know the very basics that are probably kind of a bias. I think there's always going to be a bias towards him in this country. But believe it or not, I had never seen the movie Hocus Pocus. I know I was born in the 90s and everything, and I've never seen Hocus Pocus. What a shock. I was always a Halloween Town girl. I watched that too recently, but I did watch Hocus Pocus for the first time with some friends, and I loved it. I cried 2 times watching that movie. I really enjoyed it. So I went out and bought the book, and I got it for 20% off at Target. The book of Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel. I haven't seen the sequel yet. I will probably next Halloween. This is written by A.W. Jantha, based on the screenplay by Mick Garris and Neil Cuthbert. The story by David Kirshner and Mick Garris. Next, we have a new release that I don't know what I'm gonna get to. Again, there's just so many books this time of year, trying to get to so many books, but I do really want to get to this sometime soon, and that is Britney Spears' memoir, The Woman in Me. I got it for 30% off the day after release day, so that was awesome. That targeted that. And look at those end pages. Oh, this is Britney Spears' memoir. Britney Spears has obviously been through a ton, and I don't know how you can go through all that. I have to read her book to find out. This is one I got on eBay. It was on a book that I saw on somebody's Instagram, and then I saw I already had it on my TBR, so I was like, okay, let's go see if I can find it for cheap. And that is The Winter Sea by Susanna Kearsley. This is like a historical, and it is taking place around the same time that Outlander takes place. In the spring of 1708, an invading Jacobite fleet of French and Scottish soldiers nearly succeed in landing the exiled James Stuart in Scotland to reclaim his crown. Now carry, I am terrible with Scottish names, McClellan hopes to turn that story into her next best-selling novel. Settling herself in the shadow of Slane's castle, she creates a heroine named for one of her own ancestors and starts to write. Y'all know I love learning about my ancestors, and I love when people are inspired by their own, and I think it was indie published as well. Here we have another secondhand one. This is again on my journey across the United States, and this is Thicker Than Water by Catherine Harrison. This is an emotionally riveting debut as a novelist, tells the story of a young woman's attempt to reconcile the love she feels for her troubled family in the light of the terrible pain they have caused her. It's something, coming to terms with trauma is something that's extremely difficult, and I think it's something that a lot of people need to do to get themselves in a good place, and it's something, as I said, extremely difficult. I think that should be really interesting to read a character's headspace on. Here's a fascinating one. Look at this cover. First off, it is flocked. I don't know if y'all can tell that, which I'm not a huge fan of, just because I already have a lot of dog hair on it. Dog hair and dust. These covers do not do well. What this book is about, and this is by Alyssa Nutting, by the way, this is about a female teacher having, I don't want to say affair because I mean it's rape, but manipulative relationship with one of her male students. Now you see that in the news all the time, but in fiction it's oftentimes a male teacher or male figure of authority having an inappropriate relationship with a female student, but now we're seeing it with the genders reversed. So I think that should be really fascinating to see how the author goes about it. This one is one that I didn't know if I would pick up or not, but I was talking about it with a friend and I was like, okay, I will bite the bullet and I will buy it. Maybe you can later if I think it's any good. That's Neon Gods by Katie Robert. This is a romance, like mythological retelling on Persephone and Hades. I think it's so extremely toxic. I hope it is, because we shouldn't like glorify like what I was just talking about, manipulative, inappropriate relationships. Is, yeah, as I said, I don't know if it's erotica or romance, but it is a modern retelling of Hades and Persephone that's as sinful as it is sweet. That sounds kind of scary, but I will read it and I will let y'all know what I think. The last one in that bag is one that is nominated for the Booker Prize in 2023. This was on the long list. I don't really remember if they have released a short list, but I always love reading the Booker Prize books, and some of my favorite books are books that have been nominated for the Booker. So this one is Pearl by Sion Hughes. Marianne is 8 years old when her mother goes missing, left behind with her baby brother and grieving father in a ramshackle house on the edge of a small village. She clings to the fragmented memories of her mother's love, the smell of fresh herbs and the games they played, and the songs and stories of her childhood. As time passes, Marianne struggles to adjust, fixated on her mother's disappearance and the secret she's sure her father is keeping from her. Discovering a medieval poem called Pearl and trusting in its promise of consolation, Marianne sets out to make a visual illustration of it, a task that she returns to over and over, but somehow never manages to complete. Oh my gosh, how she finds that poem and finds like solidarity in it, I think is super fascinating, and that sounds really good. Can't wait. Let's move to my second bag of books here, my last one. We have another little small book. This is an essay collection by Mary Oliver. It's called Upstream. I found out about this through Emmy's channel, so I will leave her linked down below. But this is very like wilderness, nature writing. That's the word I'm thinking of. I've heard the nature writing is really good, but this is kind of dated. I don't remember when this was originally published, 1935. Some of these viewpoints are a bit dated, but I mean, you have to expect that when reading classics. I don't go in reading a classic wanting new political views or anything, but I really love this cover too. And then look at the back as well. We have another New York Review book, and that is Slump, and this is by Hans Herbert Grimm. I don't know is he one related to the Grimm brothers? I'm not sure, but this is a German book translated by Jamie Bullock. This is 17-year-old Slump marches off to war in 1915, and because going to war is the best way to meet girls, and so he does on his first posting, overseeing 3 villages in occupied France. But then Slump is sent to the front and the good times end. So I love World War One. Like, I love learning about it, and seeing it from the German perspective should be interesting. I mean, obviously All Quiet on the Western Front is a German perspective, but we only see British. I like to see all sides of a conflict. Moving on to a different World War, World War II, we have The Triumph and Tragedy of J. Robert Oppenheimer. Oh, this is American Prometheus? Yeah, Prometheus. I learned about him. But this is by Kai Bird and Martin J. Sherwin. So this is the biography of Oppenheimer, and this was winner of the Pulitzer Prize as well, and I got it for 20% off at Target. And this is the book that inspired the movie Oppenheimer. Last month, I read the second book in the Chronicles of the One series. So I went to pick up the third. This is a dystopian series by Nora Roberts, and this is The Rise of the Magic. This is the book that is wrapping up the series. This is dystopian, pandemic kind of science fiction. It's not science fiction, actually. It's fantasy, but I think it falls more on the science fiction side of things. I have another secondhand book here, and that is Tip and Run by Edward Pace. This came all the way from the UK. This is another World War I. 2 weeks after the armistice was signed in Europe, this might be World War II. Yeah, because it says Africa. British and German troops were still at war in Africa after 4 years of what one campaign historian described as a war of extermination and attrition without parallel in modern times. I don't really know what was happening in Africa during the World Wars. On a show I'm watching, they have briefly touched on Egypt. I just know the really basic outline. I want to learn more. Another used one that I got is Every Bone a Prayer by Ashley Bloom. This is set in the Appalachian Mountains, which I got to go to last month and absolutely loved my time there, and it made me realize I'm a mountain person over a beach person. Misty's Holler, like any one of 1,000 hollers that forks through the Appalachian Mountains. But Misty knows her home is different. She may be only 10, but she hears things. Even the crawdads in the creek have something to say if you listen. This is the story of one tough as nails girl whose choices are few but whose fight is boundless. As her coping becomes a battle cry for everyone around her, Every Bone a Prayer is a beautifully honest exploration of healing and hope, which are very important themes. And I love books that are geared towards adults, but at the perspective of children, I find very fascinating. I want to know more about the countries that were once Soviet states in Asia. It's impossible, not impossible, but it's very hard to find books and that have been translated to English. Most of them are in Russian. I found one and I didn't realize the man who wrote it is a politician. Me buying this book, I don't know what this man's political beliefs are. I mean, we can assume it's probably pretty conservative being in a former Soviet state, but I don't know. The Kazakhstan Way by Nursultan Nazarbayev, and a foreword by Margaret Thatcher. I don't know what I'm getting myself into here. I just want to know more about Kazakhstan, and this is where it got me. I think this is a nonfiction that's used, and it is The Black Dahlia by James Ellroy, about that crime, a woman who was found, and going into the investigation of it. So we have another one I found through the 1,000 Books, is A Student of History by Nina Revar. I did get this one secondhand as well. Student of History explores both the beginnings of Los Angeles and the present day dynamics of race and class. It offers a window into the usually hidden world of high society and the influence of historic families on current events. Like Great Expectations and The Great Gatsby, it features Rick Nagano, a young man of modest means who is navigating a world where he doesn't belong. Obviously, I love Great Expectations, the book. I have it sitting right there. And then The Great Gatsby is one of my favorite movies. It has themes that I should like. And then I'm very fascinated by the start of Los Angeles and those cities on the West Coast that are newer compared to cities here on the East Coast that have been here for like 500 years. I know, not that long. I want to know more about the West Coast, and I think this one sounds really good. Now another New York book review. We have The Hearing Trumpet by Lenora Carrington. This is an English book. Lenora Carrington, painter, playwright, and novelist with a surrealist trickster par excellence, and The Hearing Trumpet is the witty, celebratory key to her anarchic and elusive body of work. The novel begins in the bourgeois comfort of a residential corner of Mexican City and ends with a man-made apocalypse that promises to usher in the Earth's rebirth. Y'all know I love apocalypse books. I don't know what that says about me, but I love them. And then another New York review book is Last Times by Victor Surge, with an introduction by Richard Grieman. Last Times is an epic novel of the fall of France in World War II and is based on first-hand experience. Then we have a newer book that I know was several people's favorite book, 2022, and that is Sirens and Muses by Antonia Angress, a more contemporary fiction. 2011, America is in a deep recession and Occupy Wall Street is escalating. But at the elite Ring College of Art, students paint and sculpt in a rarefied bubble. Louisa Arnoux is a thoughtful, observant 19-year-old when she transfers to Rennes as a scholarship student, but she soon finds herself adrift in an environment that prizes novelty over beauty. Complicating matters is Louisa's unexpected attraction to her charismatic roommate, Karina Pinotek, the preternaturally gifted but merciful daughter of wealthy art collectors. Gradually, Louisa and Karina are drawn into an intense, sensual, and artistic relationship, one that forces them to confront their deepest desires and fears. But Karina also can't shake her fascination with Preston Utley, a senior and anti-capitalist internet provocateur, who is publicly feuding with visiting professor and political painter Robert Berger, a once controversial figurehead seeking to regain relevance. As I said, this was several people's favorite books, so I wanted to give it a go. Okay, we have Of This New World by Allegra Hyde. This is a short story collection, and it won the John Simmons Award for short fiction. Yes, I liked reviewing and analyzing Allegra Hyde's debut novel, so I wanted to pick up one of her other pieces that she has published. And then lastly, we have a secondhand book that is, again, on my journey across America, and that is Ramona by Helen Hunt Jackson. The extraordinary popular novel, The Mission Indians of Southern California, has entertained a vast worldwide relationship. Now this new edition brings it to still another generation who will thrill to Ramona's inspiring story. So those are all of the books that I got in November. If you guys made it through this whole video, leave a turkey emoji in the comments below. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!